Hello, this is the Shine Bright team call. It is Wednesday, October. I don't know. I almost said February and I don't know why. October 17th. We're halfway through the month and still have so many goals to crush. Tonight, I wanted to speak on how to show up and how to show up in a way that feels good even when you don't. Okay. This has been on my heart a lot lately because I've been, feeling really strongly the ebbs and flows of life and business and relationships and jobs and seasons, and everything has felt so up and down, and it has taken my emotions for a roller coaster as well. So I had to speak on this. I found a couple of really great podcasts that I'm going to recommend to you guys that helped me kind of solidify this and make this feel okay and make this feel normal. So that's the first thing I want to share, is that there is a natural ebb and flow to life and business, and there are going to be highs and lows, and that is going to change your energy, and that is okay. It is normal to feel up and down. You cannot feel up and high vibe and excited all the freaking time. It's just not going to happen. And if that's how you're living, you're going to burn out eventually. You're going to bottom out. So don't feel like just because you're not high vibe for a day that you've all of a sudden become a failure, or you're not going to lose the weight, or your business isn't going to grow, or anything like that. It's totally normal. But what do we do when we get to this bottomed out state, whatever it is, whether you're physically tired or you're burnt out, or you don't feel you don't feel successful, or you're dealing with anxiety or depression or something like that. You have to feel through those things. You have to acknowledge them. You can't just shove them down. I'm not a shover. I am I don't shove my feelings down. I kind of barf them up and kind of live in that state. I have to be really, really conscious to get out of that state, or else I'm just going to lay there and stay there forever and ever and ever. Because when I'm not high vibe, I start to really get into this anxiety and depression. And that is, number one, not a healthy place to live. And number two, when you get into that state, I personally don't want to climb out of it. I want to live in my dark little hole and stay there forever. I don't miss being high vibe. I don't miss success. I just want to stay in my comfy little hole of depression and anxiety. And I don't know why, but it's like my brain is saying, hey, you idiot, don't stay like this because it doesn't feel good. But every other part of me is I'm just going to wear my sweatpants and eat popcorn in front of the television and cry. And I don't know why, but it happens like that. And so I've had to be very conscious of the ways that I try to climb out of that. So number one, you do have to feel through it. And we'll talk about this in different scenarios too, different feelings, but you do have to acknowledge it. You can't shove it down. I found that the best way to deal with the low points in my life is to share it, because that way I'm still showing up. You are allowed to share your low points on social media. I often share about my depression and anxiety because so many people can relate to that. And that way I'm still present. I'm not just climbing into my deep dark hole and staying there. I am still present. I am still alive. I'm still showing up for myself in a way that feels good, because it does feel good to share. Okay. Also, when you're going through these low points, you need to allow them to happen, number one. And number two, appreciate those low points, because those low points mean that you are up leveling. Those low points mean that you are growing. Growing pains are called pains for a reason. They can be painful, and that is okay. So learn to appreciate those low points in life, which I know is really, really hard to do. But those low feelings, those feelings of doubt and all of that, are really just a sign that you are up leveling. Okay, so I have 4 different things, or 4 different like feelings that I think we all get, and how to show up in those feelings. So how to show up when you are physically tired. It's been a long day at work. You've been teaching children. You've been interacting with people. You've already done your 10,000 steps and you haven't even done your workout yet. So think to yourself, what can you do to energize yourself? Because there's 2 approaches here. The first is to fix the problem. The second is to figure out how to still function with the problem going on. Okay, so we could fix the problem. What can you do to energize yourself? Is it doing your workout? Is it just like pushing through and doing it? For some of you, it might be. And for some days, for me, it is. And some days, it's just flat not. Okay? Is it having a really invigorating conversation with your spouse? Is it a 10-minute power nap? Oh my gosh, my husband is so good at power naps. I hate him for it. I'm so jealous. I lay down for a nap and I'm out for 3 hours and then I want to go back to bed when I wake up. So is it a power nap? Is it, drinking a cup of coffee? Is it grabbing your Energize? And I'm not saying like reach for the caffeine, like do the thing that's going to make you feel good. These are just options. You have to start to recognize and know yourself and know your body and know what works for you and what doesn't. And these are just my ideas. These are just different tactics that I use to remedy the feeling tired. Okay. You can stretch, you can do yoga, you can do any of those things. You can also, instead of trying to fix feeling tired, what if you just found a way to show up for your business while you still feel tired? Because that's the thing, is like, I don't doubt that you want to show up for your business. I just think that we all find excuses and reasons to not show up. Does that make sense? So I have no doubt that you want to show up for your business. I have every reason to believe, because I do this too. This comes from a place of I've been there, I know it, I live it, of I don't want to today, which leads to I don't want to the next day or the next day or the next day, because the circumstances aren't perfect. And if they're not perfect, then I can't operate my business. And that's just not true. Good business owners show up no matter how they feel, no matter what is going on in their life. They're able to find a way to show up. So that's what we're doing tonight. We're finding a way to show up even when we don't want to, okay? So when you're physically tired, if you can't remedy it, think, is this a time to do some behind the scenes work? Do you need to rewatch your To Be Mindset videos? Do you need to go onto the Misfit site and watch a training video? Do you need to just do some follow-ups? Like, follow-ups are easy. I'll part my feet up and I'll just go through my inbox and just do a couple of follow-ups. It takes no energy whatsoever. Okay, so those are some things that you can do. You can still show up for yourself and your business when you are physically tired. And I bet that doing one or more of those things is going to give you more energy, and you're going to have a better evening or a better morning or a better day or whatever it is in that moment. Okay, so what about when you're burnt out? When you feel burnt out, how do you show up? Take a day. You don't have to show up you don't have to show up publicly every single day. What if you showed up for yourself when you felt burnt out? Instead of just retreating, because this is like, when I get burnt out, I just want to put my feet up and do nothing. I don't want to do anything. I don't give a shit about anything. But what if you just took a day for self-care? Did you know that that counts as showing up? You can't be like, oh, I did a self-care social media cleanse for 3 weeks and count that as showing up. No, that's not part of the deal here. But what if you just took a day to do the self-care things that you love, the things that make you feel really good? That's something you can do. When you're burnt out, this is something my life coach always told me to do, is to write a gratitude list. Like, write all of the things that you are grateful for. And that will usually be enough to light your fire again. And then you can just get back to the basics. Stop consuming. Like if you are feeling burnt out because you have so much information, then stop consuming and just take some action. Sometimes just taking that next step is enough to get your excitement going again. Because sometimes I think that burnout comes from the anxiety of like, I haven't created this thing yet, or I haven't been invited for this thing yet, or I haven't done this yet. But I feel like if you just take one step, that can help avoid your burnout, because you're like, oh, I'm taking action again. I'm doing that thing. Because I really do feel like our team's burnout comes from consumption and not from creation. And if you are dealing with creative burnout, then it's time to consume. You know, it's kind of I don't like the word balance, but it really is. It's the ebb and flow of creation versus consumption when it comes to burnout. What about when you're feeling anxious and depressed? And I touched on this at the beginning. Don't hide. Don't hide when you are feeling anxious and depressed. That is not the time to log off of social media forever. That is not the time to disconnect from the team. That is not the time to quit doing your workouts. That is the time where you focus on you, and all you do is talk about you. Let me explain. So when I'm anxious and depressed, I don't want to work out, but I make myself do it because that is the one thing that keeps me normal. The one thing that keeps me normal. When I'm anxious and depressed, I tell my husband I am anxious and depressed. I talk about it. And then, you know what? Talking about it usually ends in a somewhat helpful conversation that will give me just a little bit of light at the end. Just a little bit of light, a few steps ahead at the end of the tunnel, enough to get me motivated to share about my anxiety or depression. Those posts that I have about anxiety and depression have been some of my most powerful and most connected posts that I've ever had. So please, 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 I can't say this enough. No matter what issue you're going through, but especially your anxiety and depression, please do not retreat. Please do not hide. It's okay to unplug for a little bit. It's okay to sleep a little more. It's okay to do that self-care. It's not okay to drop off the face of the earth. Nobody in your social circle will trust you if you drop off the face of the earth anytime something gets hard. Okay? So that goes for any of this, and I'm going to talk about that at the end. But it especially goes for anxiety and depression. I feel like those things get worse when we stop doing the things that make us feel normal, like sharing on social media, doing our workouts, connecting with our spouse and our friends. So what about, this is the last feeling I want to talk about. And if there's a feeling that you guys are having, or you're like, I'm having trouble showing up when I feel like blank, please let me know, and I would love to address it on the team page. What about when you feel unsuccessful, or you feel like a fraud, or you have those thoughts of, who am I to coach? Who am I to lose weight? Who am I to run a business? Who am I to earn money helping others? So this is what Olivia taught me. She was like, write a list of all of your accomplishments, no matter how small they are. So like, I made $40 last week helping other people. I'm a diamond coach. I woke up an hour early this morning to read. I helped one student today learn a new note. Whatever it is, write a list of your accomplishments, no matter how small they are. And recognize that those are not small, because all of those things are things that you did. You had an impact either on your own life or on somebody else's life in some form or fashion. And that's no small thing. And that is enough to make you, like, to justify the fact that you are successful, because you are. I love this phrase, I am enough because I am. And that, my friends, you are successful because you decide you are successful. So when you don't feel successful, when you feel like a fraud, write down the things that you have done. And then throw in a gratitude list. Gratitude fixes so many negative feelings, okay? You can also add in some affirmations. If you're at a point where you're able to like get 1% of your belief behind an affirmation, then you can do some affirmations. I don't say mine out loud anymore. I write mine. That feels better to me. So I write my affirmations. So when you feel unsuccessful, write your affirmations, or just one affirmation, one thing that you can get 1% behind, okay? And then learn something new. Like if you feel unsuccessful, maybe what you're doing isn't working. So just go to YouTube and learn something new about coaching, or listen to an old National Wake Up Call and learn something new. Or I mean, there's so much freaking stuff on YouTube, but do something new. Just learn something new. Maybe that will be enough to help you feel like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to try this, and maybe that will make me successful, even though you're already successful. Did you know that? Did you know that you're already successful? Okay, so all of these things need to lead to actions, okay? Whatever it is, whether you decide to, like, if you decide to try and fix the feeling after you've felt the feeling, it needs to lead to an action. Or if you decide you can work through the feeling, you know, like if you are physically tired, you can still work your business. It takes no energy to pick up my phone, okay? If you are mentally tired, it takes basically no energy to say, hey girl, did you get my message earlier? Follow-ups, done, okay? So it takes no energy to do those things. So what I'm saying is, like, if you can't fix it, can you do something while you are still in that feeling? Can you connect with somebody? Can you share, and can you invite? Remember, that's all we're trying to do as coaches, is connect, share, and invite. And I feel like we're trying to make this so freaking hard. Connect, share, and invite. Can you do any of those three things in any of these states? Which thing can you do, and when can you do it? Or how do you take how you're feeling and get you into a good enough state to where you can do one of those things? It's no rocket surgery. And yeah, I have days where I don't do anything for my business, but I can't even say that, because even the days that I'm not sending messages, I show up, I post, I'm present, you know? So it's all about, like, how present can you be while still honoring your feelings and working towards that higher vibration. Okay. And wrap.